speaking today in support of the Fraud Enforcement and Recovery Act, which I believe is an important and timely piece of legislation that I co-sponsored and helped to vote out of our Judiciary Committee. I also wanted to thank Senators Leahy and Grassley and Kaufman, all of whom spoke this afternoon, for their leadership and their work on this bill. I believe this bill will greatly increase our ability to prosecute and prevent financial crime. I also will note that the President, the administration, has just come out with their statement of administration policy on this bill, and it is very positive, and they are supportive of this bill. Unfortunately, Mr. President, the need for this legislation could never have been clearer. The Madoff scandal is just one big example of why we need this bill. Because of one man, $65 billion has been lost in this country, lost to investors, lost to people who have nothing left, lost to some of the charities and charitable organizations in this country who are trying to help people in need during this difficult time. In my home state of Minnesota, literally dozens and dozens of people have lost significant sums of money, and our charities are suffering. This just isn't right. After years of lax oversight and investigation, we are beginning to see many financial crimes come to light as the victims of financial fraud have emerged to tell their stories. During a recent Judiciary Committee hearing on fraud enforcement, the acting Assistant Attorney General for the Criminal Division of the Justice Department said that as the economy has declined, and this is his quote, "What we may be starting to see are these sorts of Ponzi schemes that were able to go along for a little while. And then all of a sudden, there's a rush by the victims of schemes who don't know they're victims yet. And then the money's not there when they go to get the money out." In other words, as we would say in Minnesota, the chickens are coming home to roost. All of this reminds me of a famous passage about embezzlement in John Kenneth Galbraith's book, The Great Crash, 1929. I remember this because I would often use it as a prosecutor in Minnesota when I would address the legislature about the need to focus on white-collar crimes, especially in times of economic difficulty. And this is what he said: "In good times, people are relaxed, trusting, and money is plentiful. But even though money is plentiful, there are always many people who need more. Under these circumstances, the rate of embezzlement grows and the rate of discovery falls off. But in a depression, all of this is reversed. Money is watched with a narrow, suspicious eye. The man who handles it is assumed to be dishonest until he proves himself otherwise. Audits are penetrating and meticulous. Commercial morality is enormously improved." This may be an almost perfect description of our own time. As Galbraith suggested, our bad economy is now exposing financial crimes that have been concealed for many, many years. In the past 3 years, the number of criminal mortgage fraud investigations opened by the FBI, as Senator Leahy explained, has doubled. And in the past 6 years, there has been a nearly 10-fold increase in the number of reports filed with the Treasury Department alleging mortgage fraud. And I fear, Mr. President, that this is just the tip of the iceberg. As our economy has declined, crime will be on the rise. And with billions of dollars going out the door to stimulate the economy, important job-creating investments in transportation infrastructure and broadband networks and much more, you know there are going to be people trying to bilk the system, whether it's for that or the TARP money, and steal money for their own personal profit. So it's critical that we have a Justice Department and an FBI that will hold accountable the people who are getting government funds, that will watch over the taxpayers' money, that will make sure that people like Bernie Madoff are prosecuted and brought to justice. In order to do that, we need to make sure law enforcement has the tools and the resources they need to effectively fight, investigate, and prosecute these crimes.